Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Sylvan's Way. Today, I'm settling into the quiet winter season with a deck that feels made for this time of year. It is the Heaven and Earth Tarot. This is a deck that lives in the in-between, between sky and stone, between spirit and matter, and light and shadow. And winter is exactly when I want a deck that invites me to slow down, listen inward, and sit comfortably in the gray spaces. So let's pour a cup, get cozy, and explore the Heaven and Earth Tarot together. The Heaven and Earth Tarot was illustrated by Sephiroth with conceptual direction from Jaymi Elford and published by Lo Scarabeo in 2019. So this deck's been around a little while. It is a full 78 card deck with built into the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith structure. So the system is going to feel very familiar if you've already been reading with RWS based decks, but the imagery has been fully reinterpreted through a mystic celestial lens. So think angels, earthly beings, elemental forces, and archetypical figures that feel suspended between realms. The core concept of this deck is polarity, heaven and earth, upward and lower worlds, divine and human experience, which gives it a naturally reflective and introspective tone as a deck. So let's look at the box first. So this is your typical Los Carabeos box. It has a magnetic closure. It's very beautifully done, and there is some silver lining here. And then on the back side of it, the box actually says the Heaven and Earth Tarot is about the deep and unique connection between the human and the divine, between what is spiritual and what is material, between eternity and the present moment. In a way, tarot works because the everyday exists within the higher realm of the divine, while the divine exists within every action and emotion of that everyday. Jack's artwork and vision are rooted in the imageries of the Waite-Smith system and blended with absolute mastery with the deep occult wisdom of the Thoth deck. Jaymi wrote the companion book, bringing additional insights to the symbols of each card, a guide that ensures bringing surprise and reflections to beginners and experts alike. So it is a 78 colored cards, of course, with a 160-page color book. And like I said, this was first published in 2019. So it's been around a while. So when we open up the box, it's got a very pretty cover. I actually they do have this special cloth, or not cloth, but bag. And so I got the bag, of course, to put it in, because when I'm using this for readings, this deck actually will come out of the box, go into a bag, and then set on my altar or next to my reading table, wherever. So I do like to get matching bags when they are available. This is the guidebook. Then it is the normal cardboard insert with a string pullout, and then we have the cards. So your basic box setup itself. So we're going to look at the cards in a moment. We're going to look at the guidebook next. So the guidebook itself is a full colored guidebook, so we can see all the images in there. They only have images for the majors. The minors do not have cards in them. When we dive into this book, we have information on how to use the descriptions of the cards, the major arcana with the keyword, the Hebrew letter. And then on the next page, it continues on with the number, the card, and the astrological correspondences. Because one thing that is unique about this deck is that there is all of these symbols on the bottom of the cards. I'm not going to go into them in this video because I'm not very familiar with these symbols. I read this deck as a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. However, if you are into astrological, if you are into the Kabbalah and the Hebrew letters, all of that information is available on the cards themselves. Then we have images, what the interpretations are, questions that you can ask of it, and then it jumps right into the cards themselves. So we have the title, we have the image, then it gives you details of what's going on in the image, the heavenly interpretations, the earthly interpretations with keywords, and all of the correspondence with upright and reversed meanings on them, and questions you can ask, and then additional information of transformations that you can do with the individual cards. So it's a pretty sweet guidebook. I think that you could really do some deep reflections with this guidebook. When we get into the court cards or the suits, we have the same information, but it's a little bit less. You don't have an image, and the write-ups are a little bit shorter, but it still has image, heavenly interpretations, earthly interpretations, questions, and transformations. So it really is a nice little guidebook in here. Let's see if there's anything in the back. We have some notes sections, conclusions, and introduction to the tarot. We have structure of the deck, elemental associations, a couple of spreads that you could look at here, and your first reading. So, you know, a nice basic, decent. Now, unlike other Lo Scarabeo's books, normally they come with multiple languages, but this one is all English. So that is the guidebook. And this is the cards. So it has a title card, so we're going to move that. And then these are the images. The cardstock itself is, I like this cardstock. It is not too thin, it's not too thick. If I were to guess, it's probably around 350 GSM. It does not have any gilding, and these are the backs, quite a simple basic back. And of course, it makes it so that it's reversible, and the guidebook has reversed meanings as well. The artwork style is, I would describe it as digital fantasy illustration, with almost like a painterly realism. So the figures are definitely highly detailed. Even I would go so far as to say that they are idolized and presented in a real dramatic way, with all of the symbolic correspondences on the bottom of each one of these cards. So many of these cards really divide space into like upper and lower realms, sky above, earth below. It really reinforces the deck's core theme of duality. There is a definite sense of stillness in the imagery. Even when there is action in the images, it really feels suspended in time rather than being overly dramatic. This contributes to a real contemplative atmosphere when it comes to these cards. Now, one thing I can say that I noticed on these cards is that this font that was used on the bottom of the card is very difficult to see. I think that, well, it's beautiful, but it is very thin and very swirly, and it is difficult to see and read. For me, I've got to wear glasses, but I guess if I wanted to use these symbols also that are on the cards, I would actually need to put my glasses on to see that, because it is pretty small on the bottom of it. But the color palette is what I really love about this deck the most. It really comes through feeling like winter to me. It's got these grays, it's got silvers, it's got the cold blues, the muted stone tones, and every once in a while there's a little bit of fire gold where it's like some white light comes through it. So it's very little bright warmth in the deck overall, which makes it feel quiet, cool, inward focused. It really visually echoes bare trees, overcast skies, frost and moonlight. It's really perfect for the winter season or any time that you're working through, like I would call like more quieter phases of life. So that is the overall of the art and the colors of the deck. So let's do a flip through of this so you can see each one of these beautiful individual cards. Okay, these cards are just lovely, lovely. Let's see how they shuffle. So, I have to be honest, I have not used this deck a lot. Oops. Because to me, when I first got it, it seemed too religious. So, yes, I've got a little bit of religious trauma in my life. And so I kind of shy away from it. But I did use this a little bit, and it doesn't feel that way when you're actually using it. So that's a good thing. So it shuffles really well. Let's see. How about overhand? Yeah, we have an overhand. Oh, I guess that one is the one that wants to be read from the guidebook. So let's read the swiftness from the guidebook. See what the guidebook has to say about it. So we have the Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands, swiftness. So from what I understand, this title that we see on the cards are the 12th version, the Golden Dawn version of the titles. So there is a little bit of title changes in them, but the imagery to me seems Rider-Waite-Smith. So we have the Eight of Wands. Eight wands head over from the air. They are long and have buds sprouting from their tips. They cascade to the ground at varying lengths. The ground appears further away than it actually is. A city rises off one hill in the distance. Clouds fill the air. So I really do love how it really gives you this detail. And if you'd missed that this city is back here in the background, it gives you a little clue that that's there. So the heavenly interpretations, the Eight of Wands is emotion. Things happen quickly. Timing is key and important to the success of the project, and the time to act is now. A new message might be coming in. Remove any blockages. The path is clear. Rise up and meet the challenges at face value. Another interpretation of the Eight of Wands is messages. Notes and correspondence are part of modern life. Messages come swiftly in the form of email and other instant communications. If this card appears appears, it may mean that you have to deal with some communications. The earthly interpretations, we have swiftness. The correspondences are fire, Mercury, Sagittarius. So I think those are the fire, Mercury, and Mercury, I think, is the two symbols in Sagittarius. I don't know my symbols, so don't ask me. It says upright meanings, act with bravery, harness your power, take action, time to set intentions, change is coming, act swift, remove blockages, expansive energy. Reverse meanings are the way out is blocked, move slowly, wait for better movement, clear what is holding you back, constraining energy, find a new direction. So the questions it also asks is, what action can you take right now to help your dreams become real? How do you harness your energy to move forward? What messages are coming your way? Then we have transformations. The Eight of Wands tells us the time is right to take action. When we move swiftly towards our goal, we empower ourselves to completion. Finishing projects and attaining our dreams motivate us. It feels good to check items off the to-do list. It brings deep satisfaction. Sometimes you need to take a step back and let someone else swoop in and take the stage. It's okay if we don't know where to go. Sometimes the blockage can remind us to slow down and enjoy our journey. Keep moving forward and looking for the small hints of the flame of desire to grow within you. So that is a reading from the guidebook. And as I don't know if you noticed it, but to me, this is all Rider-Waite-Smith. Maybe in the Golden Dawn or Thoth, it is the same kind of idea. I don't know, but I like the write-up, and it fits right within my Rider-Waite-Smith knowledge base. Okay, so that is a reading from the book. Now, yesterday, I shared a new 3-card spread called Between Heaven and Earth. It is a quiet winter spread for reflection and balance. So today, I'm going to use that spread to pull a reading from the collective so that you can see how these cards read together. So let's just get some shuffling in here. Well, okay. Okay, card number 1. What higher perspective is available to me right now? Let's see what we have. Oh, we have the Hermit, and I always get my cards upside down. So we have the Hermit. The next question is the ground below. What practical reality needs my attention? And we have the 5 of Pentacles. Okay, so our last card, the space between. How do I bridge heaven and earth right now? And we have Temperance. So let's do a little zoom in so you can see these cards by them next to each other like that. Yes. Okay. So for our first card, we have the Hermit. So the Hermit is saying, step back and observe rather than acting immediately. The higher perspective right now comes from solitude, reflection, and listening to your own inner guidance instead of external noise. This is a season right now for self-led insight, not group consensus. So that is our first card. So our second card, which is the ground below. There is, because of this 5 of Pentacles, there is a tangible area of lack or vulnerability that needs acknowledging. Whether it's financial, physical, or emotional, I don't know what it is. But pretending everything is fine is not going to help. So the practical reality that needs your attention is identifying where support or restructuring is actually needed. So that's the middle one. So, and then our last one, the space between. So Temperance is about balance Balance is built through steady, moderate adjustments, not sudden change. It's about blending inner reflection with practical care by making small, sustainable corrections rather than extremes. So, the overall collective message here is to step back to see clearly, face what needs support, and make small, steady adjustments to restore the balance. So that is the collective reading from this deck. So take what you will, leave the rest. If that resonated with you, I am so happy. And that is a reading from the deck. So now that we've read the guidebook and then did a reading with this deck, because of its tone and symbolism, I find that this deck is especially suited well for reflective or introspective readings, shadow and inner balance work, questions about transformations or life thresholds, definitely for spiritual growth or purpose inquiries, and then like style prompts based on this kind of imagery, such as where am I between worlds? This is not a fast, casual daily pull deck. I feel like this is definitely more of a sit down with a journal kind of deck. And I really think that the readers who would enjoy this kind of my dog is crying. Please hold. Oh my goodness. So I think that the people who would enjoy this deck are readers who really enjoy fantasy or mythic styles, of artwork. So people who like celestial or angelic symbolism, those who are drawn to quiet, contemplative like decks. Definitely Rider-Waite Smith readers who want something familiar but is visually different, that maybe it could be for the season. And definitely like the season. Anyone who likes season or anyone who likes seasonal reading tools. So if you like bright, whimsical, or everyday life imagery, I think that this deck may feel too otherworldly. But if you enjoy decks that feel like stepping into a sacred space, then I think this would definitely fit beautifully into your practice. So overall, I think that the Heaven and Earth feels like a deck for the quieter seasons. Whether it's the winter outside or a reflective chapter within your own life, I feel like this deck asks you or invites you to pause, to listen, and explore the space between sky and stone, where meaning often speaks very quietly instead of loudly. So, if you've enjoyed exploring this deck with me, let me know in the comments if you have worked with the Heaven and Earth Tarot. Do you have a favorite deck for the winter season? I would love to hear about your practice and the decks that you use in the wintertime. And if you would like to see more seasonal deck features like this, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so that you don't miss future reviews here on Sylvan's Way. Thank you for sharing this quiet moment with me. Until next time, may your readings be steady as stone and your spirit light as winter sky. I'll see you along the forest path. I appreciate you. Bye.